Hello, my name is Dr. Marc Taylor, and welcome to Online Chemistry 100 and Chemistry 110 at Del Tech, Policies and Expectations. This presentation will be done in two parts, and this is the beginning of the first part. Students often come into chemistry for the first time in college courses and ask a number of questions. Why am I in the chemistry class, besides the fact that they have to be? What are my career goals? What does chemistry have to do with what I want to be? What should I know about chemistry and science before I begin? And do I really need math to do well? Well, to address the first four questions, let's start off by explaining that chemistry is what we call a basic science. It's a foundation science upon which other sciences are built. We tend to build physics upon math. We tend to build chemistry upon the foundations of physics. We tend to build the foundations of biochemistry on the foundations of chemistry, and biology on biochemistry and chemistry, et cetera, and then that leads to medicine and other health-related topics, or possibly to engineering and related topics. So you need to have chemistry in order to understand the sciences that will be more closely related to the career that you've chosen for yourself. And sciences are what we call cumulative, which means not only are they built upon one another, as I just mentioned, but even within a single science like chemistry, the topics that you learn early in chemistry are used to build on in order to understand the later topics. So it's very important that you understand the material that's presented in the beginning of this course in order to fully understand how to do the problems later on in the course. And that leads us to the last question: do I really need math to do well? Well, yes, you do. And most of the math in Chem 100 and Chem 110 is basic algebra. There's a little bit of use of exponents and logarithms, and we'll go over that. They occur only in a couple of the units throughout the semester, but most of the work is basic algebra. Can you fix it if you're having problems with math? Absolutely. We have a virtual online tutoring center, and there is a Zoom link in this presentation for you to connect to that. We have tutors in math, tutors in chemistry, including myself, and tutors in most subjects that are taught at Del Tech. So there are many resources to help you, so please do not panic. And in addition to that, there's always the internet, and there are a wide range of YouTube videos, just as one example, that you can go to get extra help besides going to your instructor or to the tutors that the school provides. So we have 10 units in total for Chem 110. 9 of these are covered in Chem 100. These are units 1 through 10 and 1 through 9 respectively, and these correspond to different chapters in the textbook. The textbook chapter 2 corresponds to the first unit, and every unit that you look at the presentation of, there is a mention of which sections in the textbook correspond to each topic in that particular unit. So be sure to refer to those. So chapter 1 is by all means the driest of the topics. It's scientific measurement, and this is essentially learning how to use math in calculations related to science. How to use scientific notation, how to know which numbers are significant and which are not significant that come off of your calculator, how to use the metric system, how to convert a number with one unit to another to a number with another unit. And then this will lead us to actual topics in chemistry of matter and energy. And then we'll talk about the components of matter: atoms, elements, compounds, molecules, as well as the bonds that hold them together. That will lead us to chemical reactions of these chemicals, and we use a term called moles in order to count how many atoms or molecules or compounds are involved in the chemical reaction. Now you'll notice that the term stoichiometry is in red, so any topic that's in red on this slide refers to only topics covered only by Chem 110 and will not be covered in Chem 100. Then we'll cover the properties of gases, properties of solutions, properties of acids and bases, and pH, and we'll have some discussion of buffer systems. And that will lead us to the final chapter for Chem 100, which is Introduction to Organic Chemistry, which is the chemistry of carbon compounds, as well as a early entry into the study of biochemistry, just talking about the four major biomolecules. And then if you're in 110, we also have a unit on nuclear chemistry, which corresponds to chapter 5 of the textbook. Just a brief bit about me. I have a bachelor's in biology with a strong organic chemistry concentration from MIT, a master's and PhD in biochem from University of Michigan, and I did my postdoctoral fellowship at Berkeley in biochemistry and biophysics. That led me to work in the biotech industry, predominantly in medical and molecular diagnostics. That means that I either invented, developed, or led teams to invent and develop and analyze new blood tests for diseases. But I also worked in bio-nanotechnology, topics called microarrays and microfluidics, the so-called lab-on-a-chip technologies. I now do some scientific consulting, and of course I'm teaching at Deltech as well as tutoring at Deltech and doing tutoring privately. So this course is a 100% online course, and as such, it is your responsibility to watch all of the video lectures that will be posted on D2L. There is no official class time for the course, but I've created a number of hours for students to come in and ask questions. I call it the class time, but it's really a question and answer period for you if you're having any issues with understanding topics in the video lectures. And here is the Zoom link to that video conferencing. It is tentatively scheduled for Monday, Wednesday, 9 to 11, but if we have a consensus to change that time to a different time of the week, I'll be happy to change it, as long as it doesn't interfere with the tutoring schedule that I already have, which you are also welcome to come on to. In addition to the videos that are posted on D2L, we also have the labs as well as pretty much all of the learning materials and starting materials for the course, and I'll go over those in a minute, also on D2L. As I mentioned, we have a virtual tutoring center. This is an online tutoring center, and this is the Zoom link. You just click on the link. You'll be met with a moderator called the host, who will ask you a couple questions, and then we'll put you in a virtual room with a tutor of your choice in the topic that you are desiring. I'll let you know my own tutoring hours so that you can come to me if you prefer, but there are other tutors in chemistry as well. I'm also available for additional assistance if you can't make any of those times that I've already mentioned. We can make a connection through a Zoom conferencing, so please be proactive about seeking help. Don't wait until it's too late. Don't wait until the night before the test. Don't wait until the day after the test to ask questions. So it's your responsibility to learn the material, and if you're having a difficulty with that, by all means seek me out and we'll make arrangements to get together. My email is mg.taylor@dtcc.edu. That's my primary means of communication. Please use this first, but if it's an emergency and you need to reach me quickly, I'm giving my cell phone number. You can text that. Call me only if it's absolutely necessary, but go ahead and text if you can't reach me by email. I've also included my personal email. Please do not send directly to this email in your first email to me. The reason why I include this is because if I receive your message from my cell phone, I am not able to send back the message from the DTCC server, though I can read those messages. So I'll always send it back to you from my Gmail account, and I will copy to the DTCC so it still goes to that account. So if you respond to me, make sure you include the DTCC when you respond back as well. If I ever call you, your caller ID may read Beverly Hills. I never lived in Beverly Hills, but I did live in Los Angeles, about 5 miles south of Beverly Hills. So if you see that and you see this number, please pick up. It's not a crank call. So I mentioned the textbook. This is a textbook written by Karen Timberlake. It is the 13th edition of Chemistry: An Introduction to General, Organic, and Biological Chemistry. We'll focus predominantly on the general portion of this, and the other two portions of this will only be in the last unit, in Unit 9 for both courses, Chem 100 and Chem 110. You will also need a scientific calculator, a TI-30X or equivalent or better. Those of you that have some financial difficulties, you should know that Dollar Tree, many of the Dollar Trees, maybe not all of them, but many of them carry a scientific calculator as opposed to a general calculator for only $1. I would recommend you buy 2 of them because they do fail occasionally. Now, how do you know it's a scientific calculator? Because it will have these functions on it. You need to have a function to use what we call scientific notation, and that will appear on your calculator either as a EE button or an EXP button. The Dollar Tree one says EXP, but a lot of other calculators say EE. This is the button you use to input what we call scientific notation, and this will be discussed in Unit 1. You also need a second button that will say log, L-O-G, or L-O-G sub 10 on it, and above that button will say 10 to the x power. These are usually paired together on the same button. The 10 to the x is what we call a second function on that button, but it's usually associated with one button. And then there's a third button that is only needed for Chem 110, and that is the LN button, which has an e to the x function above that button. So there are 3 buttons you're looking for: an EE or EXP, that's one, a log / 10 to the x button, and a log LN button, which we call natural log, and an e to the x function. Most calculators will also have a function for changing the sign from positive to negative or negative to positive. It will look like a plus minus button, or it will say CHS, which stands for change sign. I did not include that because almost every calculator has a function like that. You will use that to change the sign of your number. Do not use the minus sign. It doesn't quite do the same function. And please do not use the 10 to the x button for scientific notation. While it looks like scientific notation, it does something a little bit different and will only work some of the time on your calculator and will not work on all of the equations that I give you. So please don't ever use the 10 to the x button for the purposes of scientific notation. That's what the EE button is for. Make sure you review the instructions for your own calculator. There are 2 major formats that calculators use, and there are various variations of each of these formats that different calculators use. So please learn how to use your own. A good way to test that is in Unit 1. I have a page of calculator test questions so that you know that you're getting the right answers based on the function of your calculator. The labs. Since this is an online course, we're not going to be in a physical lab. You'll be doing what we call virtual labs, which means you'll be looking at videos of other people performing the labs, but you are still required to view the lab safety training video. And here is the link to that. It's a 35-minute video. It was made in 1991, almost 30 years ago, so it's a little outdated, it's a little hokey, but it does cover most of the safety concerns we have about working in a laboratory. Please watch that and take the laboratory safety quiz after you do so. There's also a safety training statement that I may have you sign. It basically lists a number of safety rules that you initial, showing that you understand each rule, but this will really be important when we're actually performing labs in school itself. So you may not get this if it's 100% online virtual laboratories. All of your laboratory assignments and notes are posted on D2L. These are typically PowerPoint files, PPTs, that have links in them to YouTube videos or other websites. And then finally on this page, I'd like to mention personal protective equipment, PPE. This is something that is in the news a lot lately, so you all probably know what this means. This is the material. This is the equipment you wear in a laboratory to keep yourself safe, and now you wear in the real world to keep yourself safe. If you were in a physical lab, you would be required to buy a lab coat, and depending on which campus you're at, you'd be required to buy goggles. Terry campus actually provides goggles for students, but you're always welcome to buy your own set. Once you're in the lab, there are 4 pieces of clothing that you must have in order to perform any experiment. Either long pants or long skirt, lab coat, and it must be a full-length lab coat, goggles, and they have to be approved safety goggles, and closed-toe shoes. That means no open toe, no Crocs, no sandals in the lab. And if you do not have the proper PPE when you arrive at the lab, you will be removed from the lab and receive a 0 grade from the lab. So please make sure you're wearing the proper safety clothing for that lab. Getting started. This is a collection of different documents that are posted on D2L. It's a heading on D2L, Getting Started. The other big heading is Learning Materials. But in the Getting Started section, you'll find a copy of this policy. You'll find it as a PowerPoint file without me talking. You'll find it as a PDF file for those of you with Macs that don't view PowerPoint files in the same nicely formatted way that other computers will show it. So if you do have issues, they're PDF versions of all the PowerPoint presentations. And then there's also this presentation as a video, as an audio format that you're listening to right this second. In addition, I posted the course schedule, and this is subject to change, so keep your eye on that schedule and the version number that's posted. It has not only the schedule of the topics you need to cover each week, but the labs and their due dates, as well as the quizzes, tests, and final exams and their due dates. It also has Zoom links to both the lecture series, the lecture time, which is really our review time that you can come to during our quote-unquote class time, as well as Zoom links to the online tutoring. And then there's a brief bio, but you've already seen that, so there's not much to learn there. In the learning materials, you will find a number of different topics, including lectures. As I mentioned, all the lectures will be posted in 3 formats: PowerPoint, or PPT, a PDF file, which does not have the animation of a PowerPoint, but it does show everything in a nicely formatted way that's visible on any kind of computer, and PowerPoint with the audio, sometimes video format, as the one I'm doing right now. These are updated periodically, so make sure you keep your eye on the version numbers on those. The initial version numbers for the summer of 2020 are version 7 for everything, so if it looks different from 7.0, there's an update. I will announce if the update is significant, so you'll know to look for it. In addition, there are reference handouts. These have important information for you to help you solve problems and follow lectures throughout the semester. I highly recommend you print these out. They're between 20 and 25 pages long, and there are 2 different versions, one in black and white, one in color. If you have a color printer, please use the color printer to print out that set and have it available to you every time you watch a video, because I'll be referring to a number of these different handouts during the course of the semester. The black and white one includes all the same information. It just doesn't have the color coding to it. Sometimes it's grayscale, sometimes there's no color coding, but it's not particularly important. It's more of a visual aid to you if you have color printer available. The labs are all virtual labs. So as I mentioned, these are going to be mostly PowerPoint documents with videos embedded in the document. You'll click the control button and hit that button, that link in the PowerPoint presentation, and it will link you to a YouTube video or a website that will allow you to complete the lab. The labs will be completed by you by downloading the lab, enabling editing, which means there's a yellow tab at the top of the screen. It will say Enable Editing, which once you click that, it allows you to make changes to the PowerPoint document. You make the changes by typing in your answers right onto the document itself, then save the file. And then it's ready for submission of the lab to the assignments section of D2L. And there'll be all the labs will be listed in the assignment section, so just deposit it in the right place. Now, some students have found that they can deposit multiple copies, so if they revise something or they forgot a page or forgot something and they want to add it in, they can do that later. But other students have had problems doing a second document. If you have problems with downloading a second document into the assignment section, let me know, and we can either have you email them directly to me, but that's only as a last resort, or I will delete the original copy in D2L, and then you can download a new copy in there. So please don't send it as email unless you absolutely have to. In addition, on D2L, All your online exams will be there, your online quizzes, and the final, and you'll have 3 to 7 days, sometimes more if there's a holiday in there, to complete each one of these testing assignments. So keep your eye on the dates. They're posted in the schedule, and they're posted on D2L with each assignment. In addition, I have posted printable copies of practice exams for all 5 exams, the 4 major exams, the standard exams, and the 1 final. These are very useful study guides to you, so make sure you go over those before you take any test. And you actually can use these during the test. In fact, you can use the lectures, the reference handouts, the labs, and the practice exams while you're taking any while you're taking any quiz, exam, or final. You are just not allowed to use the internet aside from signing on to D2L to take the test. I also have optional problem sets. These already have the answers. You do not need to turn them in. They're a source of additional problems for you. One of these will be for only Chem 110 only, and a number of Chem 110 only problems are scattered throughout the various problem sets. These are all labeled, so if you're in Chem 100, you don't need to work on those particular problems because we won't be covering those in class, and we won't be covering those on the exams. Your grades will be posted on D2L. You will see an overall grade for your class, and that will be a grade that has a high degree of precision. It's out to 5 decimal places, I believe. But you'll also see a grade that's calculated for just the lecture portion of the course, which just includes your exams, quizzes, and final, and then a separate grade for just the labs. And we'll talk about those 2 grades later, but both of those will be posted. In general, I will have your grades done within a couple days of you submitting an assignment. Give me up to a week. If you don't see it by a week, let me know so that we can make sure that something wasn't lost somewhere along the way, and I'll make sure it gets posted. If something like that happens, you certainly will not be penalized for it being posted late if that was the case. At this point, I'm going to stop this video, and we'll start this on part 2 of the video.